of 7th ICSE. Welcome to the Wisdom 360 live session. Today we'll be continuing our 4th chapter, that is classification of animals. In this chapter, we have already discussed about the two groups of animals based upon the presence and absence of the backbone and internal skeleton. The groups are divided into two, that is the vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates have the backbone in them and invertebrates do not have the backbone. Apart from this, we already discussed about the flow chart in which we discussed about the phylums starting from the simplest form, that is Porifera, then the phylum Coelenterata or Cnidarians, phylum Platyhelminthes, phylum Nematoda or Icse-Vii, phylum Annelida, phylum Arthropoda, Mollusca and Echinodermata. The last phylum consists of the chordates or the vertebrates, those who are having the vertebral column or the notochord. It is also called as the nerve cord. Today we will be discussing about the characteristic features of each phylum, starting from the first one, that is the phylum Porifera. The first phylum of the invertebrates or the animals that do not have the notochord or the backbone is the phylum Porifera. Porifera, the word Porifera comes from two words. First is porous, which means tiny pores, and fera, fer means bearing. So the phylum Porifera is also called as the spore bearing animals, or you can write it as spore bearers. Example, sponges. The sponges are mostly found in seawater. However, a few are found in fresh water as well. These animals have large number of pores or openings on their body through which the water containing oxygen and food enters the body cavity through these pores. They do not move from one place to another. So, most of them remain fixed to the floor of the sea. Example, sponges, Cycon, spongula. Spongula means sponges, and the word important for odd one out selection type question is Leucosolania. Leucosolania, Cycon, spongula are the animals containing spores on their bodies through which the water containing oxygen and food enters and leaves. Most sponges obtain food and oxygen and remove their waste materials through constant water flow in their bodies. So you know that these are having pores and having body cavity. Leucoselenia, sponges or spongilla and cycon are the examples of phylum Porifera. And the animals of this phylum are called as poriferans. Next phylum, that is Cnidaria or Coelenterata. The questions from this chapter are very important, that ask for the meaning of the phylums and also for their examples. Characteristic features like body, have body cavity or not. Yesterday we discussed, last class में हमने ये पढ़ा था that acoelomates and coelomates. Coelomates are the animals that contain body cavity. Now the second phylum, that is called Cnidaria or Coelenterata. The phylum Cnidaria or Coelenterata are the animals having hollow gut. Hollow gut means hollow alimentary canal or hollow body cavity. These are like hydra, jellyfish, sea anemone, corals, etc. These animals are radially symmetrical. Radially symmetrical, in the previous class we studied about that, how the body is divided into two parts. Radial means star का जो shape होता है, and that is divided into radial symmetry. Asymmetry मतलब जिसका दो भाग में division impossible हो. Bilateral symmetry means the body can be divided into two equal halves. And we also discussed about the directions, the body directions, in which we studied about the dorsal, ventral, anterior and posterior. The cnidarians are found mostly in seawater and few in the fresh water. Body is divided into radial symmetry. The body is hollow tube-like and has only one opening called mouth. Body has only one opening called mouth. The mouth is surrounded by a finger-like structures. Finger-like structures or outgrowth are present on the mouth or around the mouth. These structures are called as tentacles. Tentacles are having stinging cells. Stinging cells means कांटे वाले, जिसको वो चुभाकर अपने फूड एनिमल या फूड पार्टिकल को इनगल्फ करते हैं. These stinging cells are called as निडोब्लास्ट. निडोब्लास्ट क्या हैं? टेंटिकल्स के ऊपर छोटे छोटे कांटे जैसे सेल्स, जिनकी हेल्प से वो अपने आप को किसी प्लेस पर एंकर कर पाते हैं और अपने प्रे को कैप्चर करते हैं. सो फॉर कैप्चरिंग प्रे, प्रे मीन्स शिकार, एंड ऑल्सो in self-defense. That is why they are called as the Cnidarians. And Cnidarians are the animals which are also known as stinging animals or creatures. The next three phylums are of worms. That is the phylum Platyhelminthes, phylum Nematoda, and phylum Annelida. These are important characteristics for 1 or 2 mark questions. These can be asked. For example, like give 2 characteristic features for phylum Cnidaria with their examples. So you can write it down. फ्रेश वाटर और सी वाटर में फाउंड किए जाते हैं. बॉडी कैविटी है कि नहीं. हॉलो गट मतलब कि फाइलम सिलेंट्रेटा. नाउ द थर्ड फाइलम, दैट इज फाइलम प्लैटीहेलमिन्थीज. These animals, like worms, in this, the flatworms, these animals are commonly used and termed as the crawling animals. Crawling or creeping. Creeping means जो छुपे रहते हैं. Creeping animals. And their body is relatively soft. So you can write relatively soft bodied animals. Flatworms are the simplest worms. They move from one place to another through their thin, flattened, leaf-like or ribbon-like body, which is bilaterally symmetrical. So you can write it. Bilateral means divided into 2. Bilateral symmetry means the individual can be halved through one plane into 2 identical halves. They have only one opening. For the intake of food as well as for excretion. Examples like the tapeworm. Tapeworm lives in the small intestine of humans and cattle. Another example is planaria and liver fluke. Some live in animals like human, some live in animals like pig. Tapeworms and liver fluke are called as parasites. Why they are called as parasites? Because parasites having the tendency of taking nutrition by living inside or upon the host. Means these worms live inside their host or they take nutrition by living upon their host body. The tapeworm live inside the human gut or alimentary canal. It can be living in the digestive tract of many vertebrates like pigs or human beings and can grow up to 15 to 30 feet, that is approximately 10 meters long. So third phylum is easy. First three phylums you are done with it. First one is Porifera, which is the spore bearing, the pore bearing animals or the sponges, and the important example is Leucosolania. And the second phylum, that is Cnidaria or the Coelenterata, in which the hollow gut is found, having the radially symmetrical body, single opening called mouth with number of finger-like structures called tentacles on which the stinging cells are there. These are called as cnidoblast. And the animals of the second phylum, that is Cnidarians, are called as stinging creatures like hydra, jellyfish, sea anemone, etc. Now we are taking for the fourth phylum, that is phylum Nematoda. Phylum Nematoda is also called as Icse-Vii. These are called as the roundworms. After Porifera and Coelenterata or Cnidaria, three phylums are called as the worms. They have a long cylindrical body having false cavity, false body cavity, meaning their body is bilaterally symmetrical, but their body is filled with fluid and is called as the false cavity. And the alimentary canal opens at two ends, mouth and anus. So you can write bilateral symmetry and two openings are present. One is mouth and the other is anus. Mouth is used for taking in food and anus is used for ejecting out the waste products. Examples of the phylum Nematoda or Icse-Vii are pinworm, Ascaris and whipworm. The important example for this phylum is Ascaris. Ascaris is a nematoda or nematode which lives inside the body of animals other than human also. Inside the body of the organism, they reproduce by forming eggs. These are also known as the parasite because they are taking their nutrition from the other organism. Ascaris and earthworm look alike and show some same characteristic features. After Nematoda, let us take the next phylum, that is Annelida. Annelids means the segmented worms. Segmented means जिनकी बॉडी ऑलरेडी डिवाइडेड है और their body are having small ring like compartments which help in the movement of organism from one place to another. So the basic characteristics are segmented or well developed digestive system, with two openings of digestive gut, that is mouth and anus. They have special cells for their excretion which are called as nephridia. Nephridia are the special organs for excretion and the segments on their bodies help in the movement, and also they have true coelom. Coelom means body cavity. That means they are not having any fluid present in their cavity. Example of Annelida: earthworm and leeches. All earthworms live in burrow in the damp soil. They make these burrow by eating through the soil, and the soil is eaten in large quantities and is passed out by the other end of the body in the form of casting. This is how the earthworms are the friend of farmers, because they increase the fertility of the soil by containing organic matter in the form of humus and broken bits of leaves. The earthworms are nocturnal. Nocturnal means those on animals who do not come out in light. Nocturnal means जो रात में बाहर आते हैं. We have a large economical value for the phylum Annelida. Yes. These are complex structures of animals, and owls and bats are vertebrates. Okay. We are discussing them also after we completed them. We finished this one, the invertebrates, then we will be discussing about them. We have a large economical value for the annelids like earthworms because they add fertility to the soil, which is used for the growth of plants or the crops in the agriculture. Now the next phylum, that is the phylum 6th, called as phylum Arthropoda. Arthropoda phylum is very large, and in this the animals are having jointed appendages or legs. Arthro means jointed and podus means foot. So jointed foot or jointed appendages comes in the phylum Arthropoda. This phylum has the largest number of species. Species is a group of animals that can interbreed and produce an offspring or new individual of their own kind. So in the kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda is having the largest number of species. They have an exoskeleton made up of chitin. Chitin is a complex substance. Chitin is a complex substance which help in making up of the exoskeleton of the Arthropoda. which gets casted off, or you can say the arthropod cast off their skin or the exoskeleton during their growth in early life, which later on regrows as they get mature or they get older. And this casting up of exoskeleton is called as molting. Molting is casting of exoskeleton. Apart from these characteristics, phylum Arthropoda is further classified into three major subgroups, or you can say the four classes. And the Arthropoda phylum have the compound eye vision. The compound eye, or you can say they form the image in several pieces. You can see in many animals, or you can see an example like grasshopper. You have found, if any, so you have observed that it has a compound eye, an eye which is covered with another layer. That kind of eye gives a mosaic vision. Mosaic vision means in which the image is formed in several pieces. Not actual image or complete one image gets formed, but the image gets formed in crystal view or mosaic vision. So till now, this phylum, which is the largest phylum containing the number of species of the animal kingdom, and have the exoskeleton made up of chitin. Chitin is very important. It's the substance which helps in the making of exoskeleton. Exoskeleton का मतलब है जो कि बॉडी के बाहर से उसको स्ट्रक्चर प्रोवाइड कर रहा है. As you all know that we have endoskeleton. हमारा skeleton बॉडी के अंदर प्रेजेंट है. बट कुछ इंसेक्ट्स या कुछ एनिमल्स ऐसे होते हैं जिनमें जो उनका स्ट्रक्चर बनाने का मटेरियल है या सब्सटेंस है वो बॉडी के बाहर होता है. एंड इन आर्थ्रोपोडा द organisms are made up of chitin by forming their exoskeleton. The removal of exoskeleton is called molting, and these organisms are having compound eye which gives a mosaic vision in which the image is formed in several pieces. Further division or the subclasses or groups of Arthropoda are as follows now. The first subgroup or classes of phylum Arthropoda is, first one is Crustacea, second is Myropods or Myropoda, Third is Insecta, and the last one is Arachnida. Crustacea, Myriapoda, Insecta, Arachnida. These all subclasses are based upon their habitats and the type of chitinous or the exoskeleton made up of chitin. The organisms having hard chitinous structure comes in the class Crustacea. Examples of crustaceans are crab, crayfish, lobsters, shrimps. Next is the Myriapoda. Myriapods are animals having many segments, and each segment has one or two pairs of limbs, and the trunk is not divided into thorax or abdomen. Thorax means the thoracic cavity or the chest cavity. Examples are millipedes, and centipedes. These are small insects-like structure. And the third class of the phylum Arthropoda is Insecta. Insecta have the body divided into head, thorax and abdomen. Head, thorax and abdomen. This type of structure in the body division होते हैं. This is called as head, this is called as the thorax, and this is called as the abdomen. Okay, so the class Insecta are having these kind of divisions on their body and have 3 pairs of jointed legs and usually 2 pairs of wings, or sometimes single pair or no wings at all. Class Insecta includes the organisms like housefly, mosquito, butterfly, etc. Now you can write it as like grasshopper, etc. Class Arachnida are having fused head and thorax. Example like scorpion, spiders. In Arachnida, the body is divided into 2 parts. The front part consists of body, 2 parts, front part and the hind part. Front part is having the head and thorax, and hind part is having the abdomen. Okay, so this kind of appearance is found in these classes, class Insecta, class Arachnida, in which the body is having divided or fused division. Head and thorax is fused in the front of the Arachnida. Fused means जुड़ा हुआ, और abdomen अलग जो कि movable होता है. Okay. Then we are left with last 2 phylums of invertebrates, that is phylum Mollusca and phylum Echinodermata. This we'll be taking in the next class. For today, this much is done, and I hope you will be keeping every example and every characteristic of each class and phylum in your mind, and you should be prepared for the quizzes. Revise everything. You stay good, stay fit. Thank you. See you in the next class.